Or you can radar.
Can I
I
show
hope
you
so,
your
because I do not feel like getting soaked.
That's all right. I plan on talking for an hour and 1 minute. So.
Are we live?
We are live.
Okay. We are now back in the regular session. It's 7:30 p.m. Mr. Nicole has arrived and discussion and possible action on revising the town employee handbook.
Yes. So, in the course of taking on my obligation as your employment attorney, one of the things that I've done is field questions from your two primary department heads, which are, the two lovely public servants who are sitting to the right of me. One of the things that became clear, aside from just a general, good idea of occasionally looking at laws that have passed and making sure that your handbook is commensurate with the latest and greatest coming out of Dover to make sure that you're correct in all ways. The other thing is that, it's just a good idea to take a look at the document and make sure that it makes sense and that it's clear to employees and that issues are able to be navigated. So, in the course of serving as your labor and employment attorney, because of the questions, some of the questions that have arisen about various sections of the handbook, there are some questions that I think are out there about, for example, do certain sections of certain aspects apply to the town manager for certain purposes? There's also questions about, for example, if a police officer is subject to callback, there's a whole host of responsibilities that exist within the police officer personnel documents that apply to that department. And it's like, have we ever really taken a look at how to harmonize those? Are they truly harmonized? It's only a matter of time before circumstances arise where that's going to be a question as well. So there have been a number of things that I think have come up as I've been working with Ms. Slater and Chief Walton. So my recommendation is that you allow me to close the loop with them. I've had some meetings and discussions with them about these issues and, circulate an updated document. The other thing too is that within the existing document, there are certain sections that are repeated, which may very well be Scrivener's errors and certain internal references and things that may be typos or whatever. So that all should be cleaned up as well for the sake of clarity. So that's the item that is before you, and that's what my recommendation is that you essentially direct me to work with the chief and Ms. Slater to update and present, an updated document. The other thing is that as we've seen with questions about leave and PTO use, this is something that we discussed the last time that I was in front of you. So that's obviously an undertaking, and depending upon how an employee submits things and the way they access that leave and all these other factors, that doesn't exist in a vacuum. Those leave standards can become an issue of employee performance. They can become an issue of employee accountability if things aren't being done the right way. I'm not suggesting any of that's happening right now, but looking at that in the context of the whole of the personnel policy of the town of Greenwood or the employee handbook or whatever you end up, wanting to call it at the end of the day, makes a lot of sense. So you want to make sure that the discussion we were having last time, which I thought was a good one, and addressed a lot of important concepts for the proper operation of the town's employees and for the leaders of the town to make sure that they have clarity and guidance for those employees. Let's put that discussion that I know was earlier on the agenda where it belongs in the broader context of the handbook and move the whole thing forward, update it, resolve any items that lack clarity, and proceed in that way.
Okay, so is there a motion to have Phil Cole go ahead with the handbook?
I'll make the motion because at the beginning of the year, remind the fellow council members that we have priorities, financial, updating the town handbook, charter changes. This is the chance to update the town handbook, try and get it in line.
I would second the motion.
Second,
Second.
we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Del Colo, real quick.
Yes.
What's your timeline? Would that be available by the next meeting?
I think so.
Okay, fair enough. That's just for the record.
Any other questions? Okay, so the motion is having Mr. Cole go ahead with updating the town's employee handbook. Mr. Willie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Massey?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carried. Okay, you were head of, what's the PTO, did you? what was
The
that?
PTO is wrapped into that.
Okay,
That was something like deferring, because it's part of the handbook, because that needs updated, the whole thing does,
okay.
so.
Okay, so, Rhiannon, you gave us, status on the 2022 audit, so that's
Yes.
done. Okay. Councilman's concerns or comments?
I believe you had an item there for council, the police chief's contract and then
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I missed that, didn't I?
Don't worry, we're gonna remind you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So I circulated a document to Ms. Slater. I believe, has it been circulated to council, Ms.
Yes.
Slater? Okay, so I'll speak to the document then. So in the course of assessing the personnel practices of the town, which is one of the things that is within in the ambit of your labor and employment attorney, one of the things that became apparent to me, when I looked at contracts of employment, which is one of the main items that you have as far as issues for your labor and employment attorney to be worried about. And looking at those and just kind of taking stock of things, it occurred to me that the manner in which Chief performs his job is not exactly aligned with how he's described in his contract. And so what I mean is that in the arena of wage and hour law, specifically the FLSA, there are certain concepts around this idea of non-exempt. Non-exempt means that an employee is not subject to the FLSA, doesn't have to be paid overtime for hours worked over 40 within a week. That, I think, is a concept that folks are generally familiar with. However, there are certain professions that are carved out of that non-exempt rule. One of those professions is the delivery of law enforcement services, is not considered non-exempt. And there's a test that can be done to determine how that would apply in a given case. In talking to Chief about his role and what he does, and just familiarizing myself with the operations of your org chart and the folks on it, it became clear to me that Chief is in essence what's sometimes called a working chief, which is that yes, he is a supervisor and he oversees the PD, but he's also out responding to critical incidents, policing, literally policing the town, addressing the services and the delivery of actual law enforcement services to the residents, investigating deviations from Title 11 and other relevant titles that it is his obligation and purview and his department's obligation and purview to enforce. So because of that, his primary duty is not merely that of a back-end administrator who's concerned about the business affairs of the department, which is what some chiefs are. He is actually directly commingled with either directing others in their immediate delivery of those services, which would make him like a high-ranking peace officer as opposed to just an administrative chief, or he's also involved in directly delivering those services himself because of the nature of the operations of the Georgetown Police Department. So for that reason, his primary duty, if you look at the primary duties test, which is what I've been alluding to, he clearly is not a non-exempt employee, which is actually consistent with what the town's been doing. The town's actually been paying the chief, which I think is definitely appropriate under the FLSA with overtime when that has been appropriate based upon what's on the chief's timesheet. So this is not a question of compliance with the FLSA in terms of what the actual payroll practices have been, but really when you look at the chief's contract and what the reality is on the ground, it references a salary, but he's clearly in this category and the town's been paying him accordingly. So because of that, we have to update the contract. We don't have to. I guess you could leave the status quo. But to me, it's beneficial to the proper operation of the town of Greenwood to make the contract of one of your top appointed folks reflect the actual realities of the situation. Both because it's the appropriate legal thing right now, but also because your successors 10 years down the line will look at this and say, okay, this is why this was done. We understand this. Does this have to be reevaluated? Does this have to be updated in some way? And we now have clarity around that. We're doing things in the proper way under the FLSA. So the addendum is a single page. It merely says that primary duties test, he is in fact subject to the FLSA because of that. You know, it affirms the fact that there's no unpaid overtime, that he's actually been paid correctly. I gave it to the chief. The chief reviewed it. He can certainly speak and confirm whether he finds it acceptable, but our discussion was that it worked and that it made sense. So that's the recommendation.
Chief, do you have any concerns with what Mr. Del Colo presented you?
No, I think we've been operating under that umbrella as it is. I think we just need to, the document needs to match the operation in which we're proceeding.
And you're satisfied with what you saw?
I mean, I'll take a raise if you're offering it, but
Hey, look, I got nothing on that. That's
Okay.
one thing. I can't speak for anybody, but like, it looked good to you, so everything matches up
yeah,
accordingly.
in all actual reality, it's just verbiage. We're just
Okay.
adding verbiage to show that, you know, this is the procedure in which we've been acting in,
Right.
and we're just changing the
It's
verbiage.
just a cleanup job.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a motion to accept the addendum to the employment agreement with the chief.
Motion,
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
motion made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, are there any more questions? Randy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Nelson votes yes. Mr. Massey?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Do we need to sign this or?
So I will, now that it's been voted upon, I'll circulate an execution copy to the chief this evening or tomorrow, and I'll circulate the fully executed version to Rhiannon, so it's in, you know, in town's files.
Okay, Mr. Sharp, have I missed anything else?
I don't believe so, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for helping me. I know quite well Mr. Cole disagreed with that.
Apologies, Greenwood.
I caught that.
Let's clarify this. Okay, council members' comments. Mr. Wood, do you have any comments?
I got just a few. One of them I've already discussed with Rhiannon, and she tried to fix it for me and called these people. Well, now they've taken what she did. It's about the house down on Dixie and Snyder. Going down there with this metal stake sticking out
Oh,
over the road.
yeah.
So what they did was take them from being straight up, now they've got it angled, so they're right going over the road. They're right at the edge of the blacktop sticking out with those big metal signs. And they're within 6 inches of the blacktop, if not closer, if not out on the road. And any cars that come down there, when 2 cars are coming, somebody's gonna really tear the metal up on their car. And she tried, she called, they did move them. And then they moved them back, and now they put them to even worse than what they were.
Okay, I have not made contact with him yet.
Oh, I thought you called
No.
them. Because they moved those signs one day. I just figured it was because of you.
No.
And now they moved them, and it's the metal post, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? The metal posts
I've seen him.
with the rough, the holes like the state
Mhm.
used to use for stop signs and
Yeah.
all like that. But they're just sticking there all rusted out with weeds growing up this tall around them because they don't take much care of the yard either. But the thing of it is, it's gonna tear somebody's car up really bad. And I guess that would fall under, I don't know whose problem that is.
Well,
But it will happen eventually.
they're in our right of way, and I will send them a letter tomorrow.
Yeah.
Send them a certified letter.
And that was the one thing there. And also on the same area, I guess somebody's walking their dogs down there. And I had a couple of the ladies tell me that they just walk and let them go wherever. They're not paying attention to our poop and scoop law. And that's a house right on the corner, I think right across the road from them, the same area.
Okay.
A little thing. And the same thing with the guy here next to the little barber shop down there. Right across the road where they put to fix the old house up, the guy who would walks the dog with the pit bull or whatever. He goes all over. He never doesn't carry any bags. And I watched him the other day, but they don't seem to care. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that. Really, you know, how you going?
Maybe we need to,
It's actually-
yeah, maybe we need to go out with, put it on our Facebook and whatever. And,
I mean, that's a minor issue. I understand that. I'm just
Well, we
bringing
could
that because
even-
people have called me and
dress it on the sign as well out here, if your dog messes, clean it up. And then they can't say we didn't tell you.
Okay.
And the thing is, if you go and, well, I didn't know that ordinance existed, well, now you know. So we had it up here, we had it on Facebook, we had it several different places, so now there's no excuse.
Okay.
And a thank you to Rhiannon. Again, I did thank her in person in the office for helping when I brought up about the ditch mowing. She did get a hold of somebody, or her husband did. And the ditch people were here within like a day, 2 days.
Yeah, I
After
called.
we couldn't get it done in a year, nobody wouldn't do it. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, but all of a sudden they just showed up and did, and they hit all the ditches basically except for one or two where they couldn't get the equipment back where people had cars parked. So they did a nice job too. Of course, they're already starting to grow back out, but at least we tried. Yeah, so thank you for doing that.
Yes, sir.
That was it for me.
Dan?
Yeah, I just would like to thank Brandon Cessna for, the time of service that he did on council as mayor. I know he led the town through a pretty tough time and did the best job he possibly could. So thank you to him.
And I would second that. He had a rough time when he started, and I know when he started, I was on him a little bit. But then he looked back and he walked into a hornet's nest, and the person had never done that before. So I'm glad I cut my feelings back a little while and then got to know him, and I saw he was really, really trying. And so I was sorry to see him go also.
Massey?
No, sir, I'm good. I'd just like to thank everybody for dealing with me and my work schedule. I know sometimes I gotta cut out early, I gotta get ready to cut out now, but I appreciate y'all's patience.
Okay, I don't have anything either other than, Brianna, you do me a favor, would you write up a little letter for me so I can send it to Mr. Chestnut?
Yes.
With my appreciation for all he's done. He had a rough time, he really did. I
It
feel
was,
sorry.
it was a bad time when he took over. It really was. And
And he
I was
handled it
one of them that
well.
was
I
on him.
was
Yeah.
pleased with the way he handled it. Okay, that being said, entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion made?
Mr. Nelson, any motion to go, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Willie, second. Okay, it is now
You vote on
7:47. Okay. Mr. Willie, how you good?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson, how you good?
Yes.
Mr. Massey?
I won't be here, but yes. I'll catch the cliff notes from you guys. I appreciate it.
7:47, is it not? And we are now in
Line to seven.
executive session.
See ya.